Hi, my name is Brandon, and welcome to the first video in the series by Relevant Marketing. This video is going to be talking about setting a budget. I think one of the major misconceptions about setting a budget for marketing is that there's some sort of magic number or percentage, which is the right number or percentage, and it just doesn't really work that way. Your budget is going to have to be set based on some factors, which I'll present to you in just a moment, and it's going to depend highly on the type of market that you're in and the type of product that you sell. If you're selling something that's very fad item, it's a very popular type piece with not a lot of maybe substance to it, your marketing budget will probably be much higher because you have to really make people think, well, gee, that's going to be a lot of fun, that's going to be awesome. Whereas if you're maybe selling machine tools or something which is a little less exciting but more critical for certain industries, well, your marketing budget might be a little bit lower. You just need people to know that you're the guy who makes that drill bit. And if you would like to have that drill bit, here's how you get in contact with me. It's not always going to be the case like this, but you can see how there might be modifying factors to the perfect number. I have read a lot of marketing books, and I've heard numbers as low as 1% and as high as 30%. And I don't think either are wrong. I think it's just people writing the books are coming from different backgrounds. So if you're a new business and you're trying to figure out how much you have to spend initially to jump into your market, well, that's a very difficult question. But I would recommend that you write it into your business plan and you try and figure out what a good marketing campaign is going to cost that you might see maybe elsewhere in the market to launch whatever product or service that you're planning on providing. That's probably the most difficult number you'll ever have to come up with, is that baseline, that initial spend. And I'd recommend that when you're jumping into the pool, you want to make a pretty big splash, so you should put aside as much money as you possibly can in this case. But I can't really give you too much advice here, so I'm going to jump ahead to the type of people who have been established for a while and now they just really need to modify their marketing budget. Now there's a lot of ways of modifying a marketing budget, but the simplest one, and I'm going to assume that the marketing that you're doing is successful, is to determine how much extra time you have in your day to continue selling and serving your customer. So if you say have a physical retail location and say it's you and your assistant Bob, and you and Bob spend 50% of your day selling and there's 50% of the time when your store is empty, well, you might consider doubling your marketing budget because that would hopefully double the amount of people through your doors. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be, a perfect lock where, 50% more equals 50% more people. Obviously, there is, economies of scale where you might find that only 25% more brings in twice as many people, and there's also times when spending more doesn't generate more result. Now, for everybody out there who panicked the instant I said, well, you might want to double your budget and thought, well, I don't have the money for that, I think it's important to remember that if you have a big jump that you want to see a huge change in your company, it's probably a good idea to ramp up to that change slowly, because you won't be able to tell otherwise if the volume of money you're putting forward is being used efficiently. So say you wanted to double the amount of people through your doors and you're thinking about, okay, doubling your budget, but you don't have that money. So put in 15% more this next cycle and then measure the result and see how much it adjusts. And it's really a lot of actual marketing is actually not so much the creative stuff like you see on Mad Men on TV. It's more measuring results and finding as many places as you can to take down some numbers. So, this many $1,000s resulted in so many sales this month, and then we upped it 15%, and then we noticed that sales went up for the following month 25%, so I can now see the correlation between my spend and how many people come through my doors. When you're adjusting your marketing budget, I think it's really critical that you also evaluate the type of marketing that you're doing, and is it returning the way it should be for the investment you're putting into it. Obviously, what you want to see is more return than investment. Otherwise, the type of marketing might not be the right type for the type of client that you're trying to attract. So this is actually, it sounds really easy, but there's an awful lot of people out there who throw a bunch of money to marketing and then they don't see the result and then they think, well, marketing is silly, but that's not quite right. It's not like putting quarters in like the mechanical horse at the mall and the horse just goes and there's one setting. This is something that happens on scales. So 50 cents gets you a short ride, and maybe putting in $2, you get an actual horse. There's a lot of variation happening here. So now that I've explained that setting a marketing budget isn't some sort of piece of magical math or a mysterious number that just happens to be the right number, and we know that you need to measure how much time you need to be serving your customer for, how much spare time you have in your day, I think that's what I would recommend you do. Say take a week before you watch the next video and really be cognizant of the time in your day you spend serving your customers and the time you have left over when you could be serving a customer, and how much of a percentage that is of your day, so that you can consider maybe boosting your budget up, or if you're totally overworked, maybe you need to bring in another sales guy, and then evaluate, okay, now how much do I need to invest in my marketing. Well, thanks for sticking through to the end of this first video, and I hope that this tutorial has demystified some of the myths around setting marketing budgets, and you are feeling more capable of evaluating your situation and determining how much you should be spending in your shop. It's not a complicated thing. Most things aren't when you really break it down to the core of them, and I hope that this will give you the confidence to put together some numbers and start playing around out there and start to ramp up your own success.